A fan made a cozy Stardew Valley Baldur's Gate 3 mod, free, wholesome, heartfelt. Hasbro's response, hit it with a DMCA, then, in peak corporate comedy, they dropped a shiny line of official BG3 miniatures the very next day. You couldn't parody this if you tried. It's not just tone deaf, it's a full-blown musical written by people who've never played the game they're profiting from. So yeah, Hasbro fumbled Baldur's Gate 3 again, so let's break down how they keep botching the biggest D&D win of the century and why the only real monster left is their legal department. Let's be clear, BG3 succeeding felt like defiance, not just design. It was good despite the corporate license. You know how licensed games normally go, safe, bland, brand checklist first, game second. Larian dodged that, made a D&D game that actually felt like D&D, just with more mind flayers and existential dread. They took their time, they used early access like it wasn't a scam, listened to feedback, fixed things, built a game that wanted you to experiment and break it, respected the source but didn't chain itself to it. And the response from the people upstairs? PR fluff about how, shockingly, people enjoy good games. Deep insight, lads. Larian handed them a blueprint for modern RPG relevance, and they're over here using it as a placemat. And just to drive that point home, Hasbro didn't just underestimate the win, they actively under-delivered on the follow-through. And that takes effort, because this isn't new. The digital D&D graveyard is real and it's full. Sword Coast Legends, RIP, it barely made a sound. D&D Dark Alliance, a co-op train wreck that somehow felt like both a tech demo and a punishment at the same time. It didn't just miss, it actively repelled. But you're seeing the pattern, right? This isn't just bad luck, it's the result of boardroom people making player decisions. Even Honor Among Thieves, which personally I did enjoy, still felt like Guardians of the Galaxy but with dragons. It's always surface level, safe, market tested mediocrity. They're not just mishandling the brand, they're trying to monetize a legacy they clearly don't understand. It's as if they think slapping a D&D label onto a half-baked product means they've struck gold. And spoiler, we notice and we remember. Remember Sigil, their big move into the virtual tabletop space? You'd think they'd build something functional, maybe even empower DMs and players. Instead, they built a loot box simulator disguised as a virtual tabletop, corporate directives in Unreal Engine 5, pretty on the outside, hollow on the inside, feature creep, microtransaction plans, and a fundamental misunderstanding of why tabletops exist in the first place. They weren't building a tool, they were building a storefront. They wanted a Fortnite shop for DMs. And the punchline? Layoffs right after the beta launch killed off the team working on this strategic pillar because the monetization didn't look easy enough. It feels like these people are designing RPG strategy using ChatGPT and quarterly earnings spreadsheets, because that's the level of genre awareness we're dealing with. Sigil didn't fail because of bad design or ideas, it failed because it was born from a spreadsheet, a presentation to the board. And you can't fake community when your first instinct is to check for a credit card. Just think about what Sigil could have been: an open, customizable toolset, a platform that let fans build the next generation of stories. Instead, it was a glorified cash register with dynamic lighting. They were so focused on monetization, they forgot why anyone rolls the dice in the first place. Oh, and by the way, if you're still here, you're clearly not allergic to sarcasm, so hit subscribe. Thank you so much. BG3 worked because Larian didn't treat the player like a toddler with a controller. It gave you the tools, and then it got out of your way. Chaos, experimentation, stupidly fun spell combos, it let you break it. Barrelmancy, pushing bosses off cliffs, talking your way out of death. That wasn't an accident, that was the game. Meanwhile, Wizards of the Coast wants control. Control over platforms, over monetization, over fan behavior, over tone, over access. They don't empower, they gatekeep. Larian said, here's the sandbox. Wizards of the Coast said, here's the terms of service. One approach wins Game of the Year, the other wins shareholder favour. Pick one. And no, it's not about being anti-profit, it's about not choking out the thing that makes the game profitable in the first place. Player freedom. Enter Baldur's Village, a Baldur's Gate 3 mod for Stardew Valley, wholesome, harmless, cozy. It turns Stardew into a BG3 farming sim, complete with our favourite companions. Larian's director, Sven Vinker, loved it. He posted on Twitter to show his support by saying, "So much love went into this, amazing work. Players loved it, it was free, it was joy, it was everything right with fan culture." And Wizards of the Coast sent a DMCA takedown notice, and Sven himself knew this was absolutely the wrong approach, and he said, free quality fan mods highlighting your characters in other games genres are proof your work resonates and a unique form of word of mouth. In my honest opinion, they shouldn't be treated like commercial ventures that infringe on your property, and Sven, I couldn't agree with you more. I want you guys to picture a boardroom of people looking at free advertising, beaming fans, and a beloved developer's endorsement and choosing legal threat as the right move. Corporate instincts are undefeated, and the backlash was fast. They walked it back, of course. They blamed a rogue system, a misunderstanding, an intern, the ghost of Gary Gygax. Whatever excuse stuck, but we all know the truth. It wasn't a glitch, it was their default setting. They don't trust fan creativity, they see the community as a legal risk, not a living engine. So yeah, Larian's out, no sequel, no major DLC. They made the greatest D&D video game ever, if not the greatest RPG ever, and now they're walking away. And frankly, good for them. You deliver a masterpiece, win every award possible, and the IP holder responds by fumbling the aftermath so hard it feels strategic. It wasn't a breakup, it was an escape. Larian leaving should have been the final alarm bell. Instead, Hasbro seems to be casually looking for a new studio to throw at the IP like that's ever worked before. And then, because life is clearly scripted by irony, WizKids drops a line of official Baldur's Gate 3 miniatures. Astarion, Shadowheart, Karlach, Gale, Withers, all your favourites, immortalised in lovingly overpriced plastic. What a celebration of the game's legacy. Except, one small problem, this launch happened immediately after they tried to nuke the Stardew Valley mod. It's like punching a kid's lemonade stand and then asking them if they want to buy your carton of Sunny D for $40. Peak Hasbro. The only strategy here is unintentional comedy. You couldn't storyboard a worse optics fail if you tried, it's just sheer marketing genius. But that's it right there, that's the disconnect. They don't see you, they see characters as IP, they see you as a wallet. They're not celebrating the game, they're packaging it. And in the process, they forgot about the one person who made it matter, the player. And at this point, trust isn't on life support, it's literally in the ground. Buried under the OGL scandal, the Sigil mess, the DMCA move, and the constant, endless grasping for short-term wins. You ever read a new Wizards of the Coast announcement and just feel nothing? Because that's where a lot of players are now. Numb, disconnected, waiting for the other boot to drop. Even long-time DMs are jumping ship. When the folks who've evangelized the game for decades are shrugging and moving to systems like Pathfinder, that's not a brand blip, that's an ecosystem shift. Hasbro owns the logos, the names, the monster manuals, the licenses, but the spark, the creativity, the magic, they didn't build that. Larian did, modders do, the players always have. Hasbro handed out a license, Larian built a legacy, and since then, the people upstairs have been fumbling the torch so badly, they've lit their own shoes on fire. They think IP equals value, but the real value's in how the world feels alive, how players shape it, and how much the game trusts them. You can't trademark trust, and you can't fake authenticity. D&D didn't get big because of Hasbro, it got big despite them. It grew in game stores, on forums, in notebooks, through shared stories and homebrew worlds. Larian tapped into that, modders sustain it, and creators push it forward. The next great RPG moment won't come from a boardroom, it will come from the people who never needed permission to care in the first place. And if you care more about Baldur's Gate 3 mods and actual game design than Hasbro's legal team does, subscribe. This channel's for the players who get it, not the suits who run it. What's the dumbest Hasbro fumble you've seen, or the last RPG that didn't treat you like an idiot with a wallet? Drop it in the comments because I actually do read them. Next up, we're diving into more of the cut systems and mechanics during Baldur's Gate 3's development, so stay tuned for that one. But until next time, stay sharp, stay stubborn, and never let a suit roll for initiative.